Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Friends, before going into the details of the war, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please support by subscribing and turning on the notification bell. We are a strong community. Ukraine conflict. Day 255. Putin says fighting Nazi Ukraine inevitable and accuses Poland. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the conflict with Nazi Ukraine was inevitable, accusing the West of hammering historical nonsense into the heads of millions of people. He also repeated a claim that Poland had not abandoned dreams of taking over parts of Ukraine. Putin publicly endorsed the evacuation of civilians from parts of Ukraine's southern Kherson region, the latest sign of Russia's retreat in one of the most bitterly contested areas in Ukraine. The U.S. has announced an additional $400 million in military aid to Ukraine, including refurbishing T-72 tanks and missiles for Hawk air defense systems for Kyiv. Russian Foreign Intelligence Chief Sergei Naryshkin said destructive forces were trying to undermine Russian historical memory and sow discord in society. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the Group of 7 countries is focusing more of its security support on helping Ukraine protect against Russia's attacks on its energy grid. Ukrainian forces are using captured weapons fired at Russian targets near the key eastern city of Bakhmut as fighting dragged on in an area that Moscow is trying hard to capture. Russia wants the West to ease restrictions on state agriculture lender Roselkhozbank to facilitate Russian grain exports made during talks to extend a deal on food shipments from Ukraine. The Netherlands will supply Ukraine with tanks and other heavy military equipment with a total worth of $119 million. Fighting Nazi Ukraine was inevitable and Poland has dreams. Putin President Vladimir Putin says the conflict with Nazi Ukraine was inevitable, while accusing the West of hammering out historical nonsense. He also repeated claims Poland had not abandoned dreams of taking over parts of Ukraine. If we hadn't acted in February, then everything would have been the same but even worse for us, Putin said in a justification for starting what Moscow casts as a special military operation on February 24. Over the last 10 years, after the fall of the Soviet Union, Western countries interfered in Ukraine's affairs both directly and covertly. They tried to do the same with Russia. Unfortunately, in Ukraine, they managed to instill pseudo-values into the minds of millions of people, which practically led to the creation of an anti-Russia in that country. He also said efforts were also continuing to weaken, decimate and destroy Russia, but that he would not allow that to happen. We will defend our fatherland, just as our heroic ancestors did, Putin added. Speaking in Moscow on Russia's Unity Day, the Russian president also praised India as having much potential and accused Western empires of robbing Africa. Without citing evidence, Putin also repeated a claim that Poland had expansive ambitions in Ukraine. We have always treated and treat Poland with great respect. It's our neighbor, Putin added. There were times when we had a really close relationship. We had problems as well. We also know about the ideas of the Polish political beau monde, about the creation of the great state from sea to sea. There were talks about it before World War II. It was a fixed idea, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. Now, we see these embraces of Polish and Ukrainian officials, but the idea is alive. And the idea of absorption of Ukraine is still there. Iran admits sending drones to Russia for first time. Iran's foreign minister on Saturday acknowledged for the first time that his country has supplied Russia with drones, insisting the transfer came before Moscow's war on Ukraine that has seen the Iranian-made drones dive-bombing Kyiv. The comments by Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian come after months of confusing messaging from Iran. About the weapons shipment, as Russia sends the drones slamming into Ukrainian energy infrastructure and civilian targets. We gave a limited number of drones to Russia months before the Ukraine war, Amirabdollahian told reporters after a meeting in Tehran. Previously, Iranian officials had denied arming Russia in its war on Ukraine. Just earlier this week, Iran's ambassador to the UN Amir Saeed Iravani called the allegations totally unfounded, and reiterated Iran's position of neutrality in the war. The US and its Western allies on the Security Council have called on Secretary General Antonio Guterres to investigate if Russia has used Iranian drones to attack civilians in Ukraine. Even so, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard has vaguely boasted of providing drones to the world's top powers. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has extolled the efficacy of the drones and mocked Western hand-wringing over their danger. During state-backed demonstrations to mark the 1979 U.S. Embassy takeover on Friday, crowds waved placards of the triangle-shaped drones as a point of national pride. As he acknowledged the shipment, Amir Abdollahian claimed on Saturday that Iran was oblivious to the use of its drones in Ukraine. He said Iran remained committed to stopping the conflict. If Ukraine has any documents in their possession that Russia used Iranian drones in Ukraine, they should provide them to us, he said. If it is proven to us that Russia used Iranian drones in the war against Ukraine, we will not be indifferent to this issue. Border guards destroyed occupiers' dugout in Donetsk region. Members of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine destroyed the fortifications of the occupiers with personnel inside in the Donetsk region. Details. Reportedly, a few days ago, the border guard aerial reconnaissance detected concentration of the Russian infantry and their fortifications in one of the mission areas. The border guard mortar unit was tasked with killing the occupiers. The State Border Guard Service of Ukraine launched a few dozen anti-infantry high-explosive mines on the positions of the occupiers. A Russian dugout with personnel, who hid there during the mortar attack, was destroyed. Power blackouts announced across Ukraine amid Russian shelling Kyiv, Ukraine. Ukraine's state electricity operator on Saturday announced regular scheduled blackouts in Kyiv and 7 other regions of the country in the aftermath of Russia's devastating strikes on energy infrastructure. The move comes as Russian forces continue to pound Ukrainian cities and villages with missiles and drones, inflicting damage on power plants, water supplies and other civilian targets, in a grinding war that is nearing its 9-month mark. Russia has denied that the drones it has used in Ukraine came from Iran, but the Islamic Republic's foreign minister on Saturday for the first time acknowledged supplying Moscow with a limited number of drones before the invasion. Hossein Amir Abdollahian claimed, however, that Tehran didn't know if its drones were used against Ukraine and stated Iran's commitment to stopping the conflict. Ukrenergo, the sole operator of Ukraine's high-voltage transmission lines, said in an online statement Saturday that scheduled blackouts will take place in the capital and the greater Kyiv region, as well as several regions around it, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Zhytomyr, Sumy, Poltava and Kharkiv. The outages for certain groups of consumers will occur daily, in accordance with a specific schedule drawn up by operators of distribution networks for each region, the statement said. The outages are expected to last for 6 and more hours each day. Ukraine has been grappling with power outages and disruption of water supplies since Russia started unleashing massive barrages of missile and drone strikes on the country's energy infrastructure last month. Moscow has said those came in response to what it alleged were Ukrainian attacks on Crimea, the region that Russia illegally annexed in 2014. Ukraine has denied those allegations. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.